everyone. We are taking a few minutes today to talk through a race day guide for Saturday's Alpe Zwift challenge. So let's dive in. So today we're talking a little bit about the route, walkthrough of preparation, how to join the challenge, what you'll be doing in the pen to get ready. We're talking about the pacing groups, the coaches that will be in each group and the paces they'll be going, a little on the rollout and the climb itself, a checklist for Friday, and prizes. So the route itself, the route that we're going to be doing in Zwift is the Road to Sky route. It has about a 3.5 mile lead-in. So you can see it starts over here where these little arrowy things are. That's the pens that you'll start in. You will come down to here, and then this big squiggly thing on the white snow-capped peak, that's the actual Alp climb itself. The climb itself is 7.73 miles, 3,400 feet. That's about just shy of 12.5 kilometers of climbing. So, as you prepare for this challenge, here's a couple things to think about. Let's say I have a noon start on Saturday. First off, the night before, and we're going to talk about Friday and the checklist there too, I'm going to be doing a bunch of things like double checking my Zwift bike, making sure my trainer bike is prepped, laying out my kit, planning my breakfast, setting my alarm, etc. More on that to come. The morning of, ideally I'm having a leisurely morning if I can. I know that's not the case for everyone, but if you have the option to set yourself up to have a chill morning, do that. If I drink coffee or tea, I'm going to drink that the same way I would normally. Namrita has some additional guidelines about that in her nutrition guide. But by about 9 a.m., about 3 hours before, I'm going to be eating my high carb breakfast. So I'm aiming for 2 grams per kilogram of carbs, maybe even a little more, and starting my 16-ounce sports drink. So I'll be having my fluid hydration right around then. I'm going to take, I don't know, chunk of time to do that. And by 9:30, I'm also checking for any Zwift updates. I'm going to make sure my electronics are charging. I might even restart my computer. I know we've talked a bit in the Facebook group about Zwift, folks having some Zwift glitches and stuff. So I'm going to make sure that that's all set. And I'm also going to make sure my fuel and nutrition is prepped. About an hour before, I'm doing my final prep. So I'm making sure everything's down by my bike. I've got my towel. I've got my fan plugged in. My computer is set up. Everything's ready to go. And I'm also eating my carb snack, 0.5 to 1 gram of carb per kilogram. Again, more on that in Namrita's nutrition guide, but I'm making sure I'm fueling and everything is set well ahead of time. So around 11:15, I'm jumping on the bike and I'm going to do my warm up and start my fueling. Tim put a warm up example in his ultimate pacing guide. You can check that out. Take what you need on the day. Know that you'll have some extra time while you're sitting in the pen and in the neutral rollout, but probably not a bad idea. We're going in on tired legs, get the blood flowing a little bit early, just loosen things up, spin, a couple little efforts to get everything moving. You can join the meetup 15 minutes early, so 11:45, I am joining that meetup. I am not waiting. I want to know if something glitches, goes wrong, shuts down, I can't get in, whatever. I want to give myself the full 15 minutes to troubleshoot that. I do not want to wait to the last minute. So I'm going to join that meetup right at 15 minutes to go. Once I'm in, I see my little avatar in the pen. Fantastic. Then I'll do my final prep. Maybe I add my last water bottle, run to the bathroom, turn on my fans, turn up my music, whatever it is. And by about 5 minutes beforehand, I am easy spinning, getting the legs moving again. I am continuing to fuel. And by noon, I am ready for that endurance roll off. I know some of you are in different time zones. It might not work out to be this perfect. Check Namrita's fueling guide in terms of some ways to tweak this a little bit if you don't have 3 whole hours to get breakfast in. Do what you can and give yourself as much time as possible. That's really the trick. So let's go back a little bit on actually getting into the challenge and working through those steps. So 2 options, just like the first challenge, 15 minutes before, this little join meetup button should pop up in Zwift if you are free riding. If it's flashing or you can't click on it or you don't see it 15 minutes ahead of time, don't panic. Simply finish your free ride, go back to your home screen, and then look for the meetup in the little For You section. You should see it just like you would a public Zwift ride. It should say the name of the meetup, Road to Sky, and you can click right on that. Do make sure before this time, you do want to double check that you are clicked going to that meetup and that you can see that in the Zwift companion app. 3 most important notes once you're in the meetup. Do not load a workout. There is no workout happening in the meetups today. There's also no late join. So if you try to join it, if your meetup starts at noon and you join at noon and 4 seconds and you try to get in, you will not be able to get in. Unlike a normal meetup, there is no late join. So again, please join that meetup 15 minutes to go so that you have all the time you need. We can't let you in late. There's nothing. If you miss it, you miss it. And you can still do the challenge solo, but you won't be able to join the meetup. And then there will not be a coffee stop available. So I know you won't be in a workout, but we'll have race results on in Zwift. That means there isn't a coffee stop option. So you can't jump on someone's avatar. If you need to stop and use the bathroom or fix something or pick up something that you dropped, you can, but the clock will keep going and your avatar will stop on the climb. As you're in the pen, this is just a stock image, but this is what it'll look like. You'll be sitting on the side of the road. You'll have a little virtual trainer. You'll be hanging out here. You'll see the countdown for when the meetup starts here. You'll see that it's going to be Road to Sky, and you'll be waiting. Here's where I would double check that you have everything you need. You have your hydration, plus that extra in case you drop it. You have your snacks, your fan, a towel or two, your music's queued up. You are on the correct bike in Zwift. So whatever climbing bike and wheels you have chosen, triple check that you have that set up. Everything is charged, your power's on to everything, your chamois butter's on, like just mentally run through all that in the pen. And then once the countdown starts, we are easy pedaling. This is not a race start. We have a neutral rollout. And we're going to group up with our beacon leaders as a blob and draft together the 3.5 miles to the start. So let's talk about groups and pacing really briefly. So we have 4 groups. Earth group, you all start out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. This is for folks going sub 60 minutes on the climb itself. You'll have a neutral rollout at about 2.3 watts per K. And these are the coaches that will be in your group. Paul Jobin's going to be pacing fast. I say pacing, he's not really pacing. He's just going to be going really fast. He'll be doing a sub 50, probably in that range, but he might be a little faster or a little slower depending on the day he's having. If you want to go sub 50, you want to be with Paul or ahead of Paul. He can let you know how he's doing day of, but I would not expect a ton of coaching at that very pointy end of the Earth group. It's going to be hard and fast. Namrita will be pacing roughly in that 52-minute range. Tim is our beacon for that group, roughly in the 55-minute range. And I will be pacing somewhere around, I'm aiming for about 59 minutes on the back end. If you're looking to break that 60 minutes and that marker is important, make sure you also know your pacing plan. I will do my best to pace just a little bit sub 60, but just make sure you know your own pacing plan too. Then we get into our 3 afternoon groups. So the wind group, you all are going off at 12:05 p.m. Eastern. That goal time is 60 to 75 minutes for the climb, about a 1.8 watt per K neutral. You'll have Brig as your beacon, kind of in that middle range. Jim will be pacing about an hour. Again, if you're looking to break the 60-minute mark in that group, I would be ahead of Jim and know your pacing plan. He may be 60 or just a little over. Paul Jobin will be back. He'll be pacing on the back end of that group, and Namrita will be floating in the group to give some encouragement. I should note too, in the Earth group, we may have a couple other coaches floating as well. They are also just there to race their best out time as well. If there are folks that are joining the Earth group knowing you're going to be a little slower than 60 minutes, that's fine. We'll probably have a few folks there. Our coaches will need to jump off to get to the other groups. but you'll be able to stay in that meetup if you choose to do that. Then we have the fire group going off at noon, 75 to 90 minutes for the climb, the neutral at about 1.5 watts per K. Again, we'll have Jill as the beacon in that middle pace. Tim will be taking the front of that group and Brian will be near the back. We'll also have two coaches floating in that group, Danny and Shannon. So take a look for both of them. And then finally, the water group, if your goal is 90 minutes to 2+ hours for the climb itself, come join us at 11:55 a.m. Eastern. We'll do a nice about 1.0 watts per K neutral. You'll have Lori at the front. Greg is your beacon, and I will be sweeping. I will be with the last folks in that group. So on the other groups, your last coach will be pacing at about that back end pace. So for the fire group at 90 minutes. For the water group, I actually will be with the last people coming up. So I may not be with the last rider the whole time, but we'll be hanging out on that meetup, seeing everyone make it to the top. And no matter what your pace is, no matter how long it takes, if you want to get to the top, I'll be there. And we'll have Stacy also floating in that group as well. Just to say it again, your coaches are humans. We are not bots. We are going to do our very best to pace those advertised times. But sometimes things happen. Pacing gets strange, computers glitch, things come up. Maybe a coach has an off day, something goes wrong, power outage, all sorts of stuff. So again, know your own pacing target. As I said before, we'll do a neutral rollout. It is 3.4-ish, 3.5, depending on where you start in the pen, miles to the start. Oops. And we will be doing an endurance pace as a group for those, take about 9 to 15 minutes, depending on your group. It's a net downhill. And basically you'll be coming along. You'll make a right-hand turn through a green gate. It's very obvious, big green gate on the screen. That green gate is your I am almost there moment. Take your last sip, get ready. Like this is going to be it. And then you'll actually be coming from this direction. You'll see it on your mini map, and there's a little bend in the mini map here. That bend is the start. You'll see there's a white marker on the road. And you'll see you'll be at about 3.4-ish miles. So there'll be lots of cues. Your coaches will say it too, like, hey, we're almost there. Look for all those things. Once all those pop up, go time. As soon as you start the climb, you'll also see your screen will change. So you'll see these sector stats appear on the left, and your climb will appear on the right. This is an older screenshot, so this will look slightly different. Zwift has updated the interface, but these stats will still look the same. On this, you'll see all 21 sectors. So each of these little straightaways are sectors. You can see them marked, and they will count down, and you'll be able to see your heart rate, your power, how long the sector is, your current time, so 37 seconds in, and if you've done the Alpe before, you'll see your PR. One note that if you've done the Alpe in a banded meetup or a public group ride, those PR numbers, if you've never done it solo, might be faster or slower than what you expect. You'll also see up here the amount of mileage you have left and the amount of time you've been on the climb thus far. So in this case, I've been on the climb for 38 seconds so far. You can also see the total mileage down here under your map. So lots of things to look at on the screen, giving you information. It can be a little overwhelming, but just know that those things are all there. Often like to use the sectors to help me count down. And I can see, oh, this sector is going to be just 1.13 miles, or, oh, this sector is a little longer, almost half a mile. So just kind of things to take note of. Friendly reminder, do not start the beginning of the climb too hard. As mentioned, there are 21 switchbacks. They typically go from steep and then they kind of get a little shallow as you come out of them. Tim put out an ultimate pacing guide. That's where this image is from, where he talked about how to come in seated, stand with a little more power, return to seated, and then get back into your climbing pace. If you've not checked out that ultimate pacing guide, highly recommend. You'll also see those sectors. They'll have little markers as you go around each switchback, counting them down for you. After you settle in for 4 to 5 minutes, you can find your good climbing pace. Remember, drafting is almost no benefit on the Alp. There are a handful of exceptions. If you're going sub 60, it comes in just a little bit more, but even at its very, very, very best sort of setup, fastest pace, double draft, all these things, we're talking less than a minute of benefit. So I know for some folks that might make a difference, but for a lot of us, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, again, at the very best optimal drafting, which we will not have here, it's really minimal. So, if you want to ride with someone and take advantage of sort of that mental option to pace with someone, that's great. But I would not either slow down your pace to draft with someone or try to speed up and catch someone solely to get into their draft. Use it to pace together, use folks as carrots, but I would not think about drafting very much on this climb. You'll see on the screen, you'll see little green dots like this and this of riders. On the day, there'll be green dots all over this climb in front and behind you, probably, unless you are first, then they'll be behind you. But you'll see our folks sprinkled everywhere. You'll see everyone in green too here in the meetup and where they are behind you. Sometimes these numbers get a little bit strange. It might say 5 seconds behind you, but it might actually be 2 or 3 or 6 or 7. So don't read into it too much, but you'll have a sense of where people are on the road. And you'll see those sectors continue to count down. And once you complete it, you'll be able to see the power you did for a sector and your heart rate. So as you're thinking like, how am I doing? You can kind of keep track of, am I pacing pretty steady or not? Again, know your own pacing strategy. Okay, you've made it through most of the climb. You are nearly at the top. You're going to see you hit this last sector. It'll say 1. Don't be fooled. This is not the top of the climb. So when you finish this, you are not at the top. In fact, you have a half of a mile still to go. So use your map. You can actually see right here, you're going to come around this corner and then you can't see it. It stretches out here, but there's another half mile to the finish to go. So don't be fooled by that. You're not done climbing when that goes away. What you will see when you come around that corner, so you can see we were here, we've now come around right here. We're starting our final ascent. You'll see these statues. That's how you'll know, okay, that's the top up there. Your sector counter will go away and it will be replaced with this 30-day PR slash KOM. And if you are a female, QOM counter here. So you can see how other folks in the meetup are doing. You will see your time up here still, and you'll be able to see down here, actually, you still have mileage to go. So you'll know I'm not done yet. When you get really close, this little screen should pop up, giving you an ETA of your time to the top, and you will see a countdown in meters or feet of the final stretch. Once you see that pop up, you probably have less than 2 minutes to go. That's it, like all in there. You want to going by that point. You are nearly to the top. So if you haven't emptied the tank at that point, when you see this, that's your time to go. So keep an eye out. That ETA, if you slow way down, that ETA will get larger. Like it'll, if it said 51:33 and you stop, it'll quickly start getting higher. It's harder to make it lower. So if you're like, oh, I was trying to break 51:30, give it all in. You might be able to knock off a little bit, but the closer you get to the top, the more correct, let me say, that ETA is for the pace that you're doing. And at this point, you should be going all in. So you probably won't see that change a ton. And then you're there. You will know you're at the top because 1, the road will get very flat very quickly. You'll actually see it'll turn to a 0% grade. And this lovely wheel will come up. You will get a chance to win a pair of gloves, a helmet, or some fancy wheels. You'll see your total time here, and you'll be at the top. So if you see the grade hit 0, you'll actually come around a little, look at a little sort of U circle up here. You're finished. If you start the downhill, you're done. So look for this to come up, and that's your moment to celebrate. And you've made it. Okay, 2 more slides. Final checklist to do before Saturday morning. So Make sure by Friday, and maybe this is even Thursday if you don't have a Friday ride, make sure your trainer difficulty is set to where you want it. Make sure your trainer bike is ready, your actual physical bike. Anything's charged that needs to be charged, say electronic shifting. Your chain is clean if you need to. If you need to add air to your front wheel to make it more comfortable, whatever it is, make sure your actual physical bike is ready. Then make sure your virtual bike is set. Your rider, your bike and your wheels are both the way you want them. If you haven't updated your weight in Zwift in a while, put in a roughly accurate weight. We're not looking to, this isn't a Zwift race. This isn't the e-championship. We're not looking for anything to be perfectly accurate, but if you've lost or gained a bunch of weight since you last updated Zwift, go ahead and update that so that it's going to be accurate. Double check your pre-race plan. Know when you're going to wake up. Make sure you know what and when breakfast is, that your fueling plan is set, your warm-up time, you know what time you have to be on the bike. Don't be scrambling for that Saturday morning. Make sure you've got everything laid out that you need. Again, like if you're planning to have oatmeal, make sure you have oatmeal in the house. Just double check those things so nothing's surprising on Saturday. Same with the on-bike nutrition. If you're planning on having 2 bottles of fluid and some bonk breaker chews, make sure you've got those in stock. Make sure your kit that you want to wear is clean. You know where your chamois butter is. Your playlist is all set. And then maybe a little bit of mental prep on Friday night, thinking, okay, what will I do if X, Y, or Z happens? What happens if I'm having a hard time? Or what happens if I feel amazing and I don't expect to? Or what happens if I'm running late? Like maybe run through a couple of those scenarios and just think about what you might do. And remember, we're going into this with curiosity. Last but not least, exciting news for folks who do this, whether you're doing it one of our 4 meetups or you sign up to do this solo, as long as you complete by 5:30 p.m. Eastern time and you do this on Saturday, you are entered to win one of 5 key prize packages. So you can see a little preview of what that looks like over here. Above the jam jars, this is the sample prize pack for the Alpe challenge. The big exciting thing in here is my VeloFit is giving away for each of these a 1-year pro membership. So you can test all of your bikes, you can check your fit all year long. We're going to do a huge deep dive with my VeloFit coming up at the end of the month here. So keep an eye out for that. This is a super cool prize, in addition to some other great goodies like our Bevo bottles, our fluid. Fierce Hazel has put in some really neat and a variety of different pouches. We've got some things from Surf, from Lauf, Bonk Breaker bars, some prizes from Be Good, some dried apples, all sorts of stuff in here. So pretty darn cool prize packages. Plus, we are going to be giving away some extra mini bonus prize packages featuring a jar of jam from our friends at Michigan Organic Fruit. So you'll have extra chances to win in this challenge. That's it for now. Check the challenge page. Make sure you are signed up by Friday night. And then all the posts we've been putting out are on that challenge 2 page. So if you've missed anything, we've got things on trainer difficulty, bike setup, pacing, nutrition. There'll be some mental performance things. Carrie's webinar on Wednesday. We'll talk a little bit more about mental performance. Make sure you go to the locker room, check out that challenge 2 page. It has everything you need to know. Ask questions if you have them, and get ready to have some fun on Saturday.